Today I'm going to show you how to do a pegboard wall using a French cleat system. I'm going to start out with this 4x8 sheet of pegboard that I picked up at Lowe's for about 16 bucks. And the cabinet it's going to hang over is .72". So that's what I'm going to make it. I'm going to leave it 4 foot tall by 72 inches wide, also known as 6 foot. Okay, so the actual width of this pegboard is 96 and a quarter inches long. I want 72 inches. I can't cut 72 inches on my job site table saw, so I'm going to cut the drop off. If I cut 24 and a quarter inches off, then I'm going to come up an 1/8 inch short in my overall 72 inch long width. Stay with me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take into account for the 1/8 inch width of the kerf of the blade, and I'm going to deduct that. So instead of setting it up to take 24 and a quarter off, I'm going to set it up to take 24 and an 1/8 off. That will then leave me with 72 inches. See, I told you, you'll see. I'm going to use a couple of these old 2x4s that I've been using for my track saw base. They've got some shallow cuts in them, but that'll be fine. I'm going to cut these to 6 foot long each, and then I'm going to cut them into French cleats. If you don't know what a French cleat is, it's basically just 2 pieces of wood or metal that are long that go behind something you're trying to hang that interlock. Let me illustrate it with this extremely dusty and extremely scratched up piece of plexiglass. Here's your wall. Here is your bottom part of your French cleat. Let me cover that in. Let me color that in. Okay, so that mounts to the wall. Then to your piece that you're going to hang, this is my piece I'm going to hang. You have another piece mounted on the back of it, like that. Wow, that's perfectly straight. Then as these 2 pieces come down, they interlock as such. Piece mounted to your hanging. Piece mounted to your hanging. Good Lord, the cleat mounted to the hanging piece and the cleat mounted to the wall. Hope that clarifies things. Probably not, but anyway. I forgot to mention, last year I bought these 2x4s for about $2 a piece. However, due to fake supply and demand issues today, you'll probably pay about $5 a piece for them. I'm just going to raise my blade up, and then to save on lumber, instead of going at a 45-degree angle, I'm going to go with a 30-degree angle. And that'll still work perfect, but I won't have to use a whole 2x4 for each cleat. I can split one 2x4. And I'm going to set my fence up at 1 1/4 inches. And that should just about split this 2x4 perfectly. I'm just going to set these on a temporary table for now. Okay, I happen to have this 1x6x8, and I'm going to cut this down into 3 1.5 inch wide strips. Why 1.5 inches? Because that's the thickness of our overall cleats when they get put together, which is the overall thickness of a 2x4. So I tripped a breaker. I gotta say, one thing I'm a little disappointed with this SawStop saw is the power. It clearly draws a lot of power, but it doesn't necessarily put out a lot of power. I've had $150 table saws that have every bit the power this saw has, so kind of sucks, kind of disappointed in that. Okay, so this next step isn't necessary, but I just want to dress this up a little bit. So I've got a 1x6x8 here that I'm going to cut into strips that are 1 3/4 inches wide. And this is what I'm going to kind of frame out the edge of the pegboard with. Okay, it's the same day. It just started raining and I had to change into something dry and warmer. So I'm in the shop now, in the garage, finishing putting this together. And what I'm gonna do is lay it all out and make sure everything fits, make any cuts I need to do to frame the whole thing out, and I'll kind of go back and explain what I've done. Okay, so while I was doing all this, package came from Amazon, which are the clips, the hangers and everything for this. So figured we'd see what we had here. I can see that I've been had again by you, Amazon. I thought I'll get this set because it has the containers, you know, that hold like screws and stuff. So this will be I thought it was a pretty good deal that I found. Here are the containers. I don't know what. I guess maybe I'll find a use for them, like keeping sweet and low tablets in. Anyway, those suck. And then also I can see here that one of the other things that I thought was really good about this set that I ordered was that it had a shelf on it. And I thought, that'll be nice to get a shelf, you know. And I can see my shelf here. Come on, you can do it. Here it is. It's so adorable. Look at it. It's so tiny. Man, how many times have I ordered stuff on Amazon or my wife most of the time, where you don't pay attention to the size and you just look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that'll be nice. I mean, what is this? What seemed like such a good deal to begin with is now turning out to be quite a scam. I'll put links down below if you'd like to order this as well. It does have the, oh cool. I got my screwdriver holder bent. Can I bend it back without it breaking? Yes, maybe. Yeah, okay, so that works now. But anyway, it's got all the pieces in here. It's kind of a overall piece of crap. So here I've got 2 of my French cleat pieces, the pieces that will attach to the pegboard, and I'm going to put one at the top and one kind of down near the bottom, but not at the bottom because then it wouldn't work. So it's got to be able to slide down onto onto the other piece. So I'll just put it about right there. I'm just going to use these 1-inch screws. These are square drive. They happen to be square drive. But these will go through the holes in the pegboard, and the head is just bigger than the hole, so they won't go all the way through as long as I don't sink them all the way through. And these will kind of blend in when I'm done. Just running glue all along the frame. And you can smear that out if you want, but I don't really feel like it's necessary, so I'm not going to. Make sure that I get this other cleat in the right spot back here. I'm just going to use this as a spacer and mount it right there. Now using this unnecessarily long drill bit, because it's the only 1/8 inch drill bit that I have that's long enough, I'm going to drill holes into the ends and connect all the stiles and rails on the back of this together. Now at this point, you could hang it. Not like this, like it's standing, but like this. And if you're happy with the boring brown, that's perfectly fine. You'd be about 30 minutes in and $25 into this project. And you'd have a very fine pegboard system. But not me. Remember that 1x6 that I cut up earlier? I'm gonna frame this out with that, and I'm gonna paint it silver. And then I'm gonna paint the pegboard black. I actually thought about running aluminum around the edge of this because I thought, man, that would be really sweet. I thought that would be really cool looking, but the aluminum is, I mean, it's not that it's that expensive, but it would have been enough that it wasn't, this would not have been a budget project. So anyway, black and silver spray paint it is. Now to hang this, all I have to do is mount the other half of the 2x4 that I split into the cleat onto the wall. What I'll do first is I'll measure to find where all of the studs are behind the wall. I'll mark those. I'll find the center of the cabinet that I want my pegboard to be centered over and mark that along with the center of the cleat so that I can line it up perfectly, and I'll screw the cleat into the studs. That's the whole point of the French cleat system, is that it lets you use, you know, normally you'd have to find a stud to mount everything. This way the cleat is mounted to the studs all the way across, so you get a lot more strength and it's carried over the whole distance. Oh, and don't have a brain fart and mount this side against the wall. This side goes against the wall so the cleat will lock down. Here's the center mark on my cleat, so I can kind of put this up here, and so that I can pre-drill, I can mark where each stud is. To figure out where to mount the second cleat, all I did was take a couple pieces of drop off of the cleats when I cut them down to size and put these two pieces up behind the pegboard, and then I measured from bottom to bottom, and that came out to 29 inches. So I'm just going to measure 29 inches from the top cleat to the bottom of the bottom cleat. Hey, what do you know, it's level. I picked this organizer up at the local hardware store, and it was this ugly shade of blue, so I just painted it with the same black that I painted the pegboard with so it can kind of disappear into the background. Also, I picked up these drill hangers for a pegboard off of Amazon, and these actually were a good deal because I think they were about half the price of what they were at the local hardware store, so I will put a link to those in the description down below. These will be great because they'll let me get the drills out of my drawers that I just filled up, and I can put different stuff in my drawers because I don't want my drawers to be dirty. You know what I'm saying? Okay, everything's mounted and I'm pretty thrilled with the way it came out. I'll probably go back and redo a lot of the things on it and move things around, but now I have actually found that I probably need a second one of these somewhere in the garage. I found these bins at Lowe's. I put my gloves and stuff in those. Oh my gosh, man. I can't help it. I just want to rap so bad. Not including the pegs or the bins or anything, I'm all into this for about 35 bucks. And with the bins and everything, I'm probably close to around 60 bucks. You looking at the metal pegboard systems that I originally wanted to go with, this would have been around $100 to $150 for all of this. And once everything's hanging on this pegboard, it kind of basically looks like metal. You can't really tell. I love the silver frame that I did on here. It ties in really well with the cabinets down below and the cabinets over here on the side.